Might seem a little rudimentary, might seem a little bit unnecessary to point out, but I'm trying to live forever, damn it. So, the biology of aging study shows why curbing calories counts. If you want to live a high quality of life, once you start to age, you get older, okay? Because we're all aging all the time. I'm going to be older at the end of this video than I was at the beginning. I know, big shock, right? But if you want to be healthy, how about timed eating? How about intermittent fasting? How about just simply curbing calories? Does it help? Sure seems like it. National Institute of Health's National Institute on Aging, the NIH's NIA, broadly invests in research to find ways to help people live longer and healthier. Have you seen their board members? That's exactly why they spend so much money on aging. As people age, they are more likely to have multiple chronic diseases, and the NIA-supported research studies reflect a strong focus on geroscience. Okay, cool. Because that looked like a lot like genocide. And it's like, why are we? I thought we were trying to make old people healthy. The advanced area of science seeks to understand the mechanisms that make aging a major risk factor and driver of common chronic conditions and diseases of older people. More than 85 years ago, researchers at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, observed that some lab rodents, lived longer when they were fed a low-calorie diet, otherwise had appropriate nutrients. So they were properly in nutrient homeostasis, properly nutriented. I don't think that's a word, but they had adequate amount of nutrition in their body. They just also had adequate amounts, but not a surplus of calories as well. Since then, many scientists have studied calorie restriction to shed light on various biological mechanisms that may explain its benefits and perhaps discover a way to extend healthy life years, known as our health span. Yeah, exactly, because you could live for a long time, but if that last third sucks, that's why I always roll my eyes whenever I hear, oh, well, I don't want to live such a restrictive life. I'm going to enjoy my years. Cool. Well, you can do whatever you want, and I'm sure you're going to have a fun 2, 3, 4 years, but eventually, the subsequent, when you have to start paying for those expenditures, are going to suck. And then dealing with the aftermath of that, having to deal with those consequences of that 2 or 3 years, is going to suck even worse than that, okay? Because you just eat to your heart's content. You have zero limitations. You're going to, like I said, have a wonderful couple of years, and then you're going to be in and out of hospitals because you have different acquired health deficiencies in your life. And then at the end of your life, you're just going to have a surgery-riddled life. You're going to be sticking yourself with insulin all the time. You might end up losing a foot or at least a couple of toes. What's your quality of life then, okay? Was it worth that 2 or 3 years of just unadulterated hedonism? I don't think so. Well, to be fair, I don't know what you're doing with those cookies, but should have said gluttony instead of hedonism, but whatever. I'm sure you had some kind of phallic-shaped chocolate bars during those times. Although there's never been many studies of calorie restriction since... Oh, there have been. Yeah, it's like that didn't make any sense. Learn to read. The Cornell findings, the NIA-supported clinical trial of CALORIE, which stands for Comprehensive Assessment of Long-Term Effects of Reducing Calorie Intake of Energy. That is the most contrived acronym I could think of, but it works. Provided critical data on the impact and the intervention in people, completed in 2012. CALORIE was the first carefully controlled study to test whether study participants undergoing moderate calorie restriction would display any of the benefits observed in animal studies. Volunteers at the calorie study were healthy, non-obese adults aged 25 to 45. People in one group were randomly assigned to continue their customary diet choices, and the second group were trained by an expert team of psychologists and dietitians to restrict calorie through a specific strategy, such as eating smaller servings of food. In addition to demonstrating that people could sustain moderate calorie restriction for 2 years, the calorie study also showed that the intervention could diminish risk factors for age-related cardiovascular and metabolic diseases. The calorie investigators also made their data and biological samples available for other research teams to study further. Recently, a team led by Vishwa Dixit, Yale University, New Haven, Connecticut, examined calorie data to investigate the effects of calorie restriction on immune function. The findings published in the journal Science suggest that calorie restriction may improve immune function and reduce chronic inflammation. Awesome. As people age, the size of their thymus, which is part of the immune system, tends to become smaller. As the organ shrinks, the output of T cells declines and hampers the ability of the immune system to combat infectious diseases. The deficiency of T cells is one of the reasons people over the age of 40 are increased susceptibility of the range of diseases. Dixit's team noted that MRI scans showed the thymus volume increased among people who reduced their calories for the 2-year calorie study, but was not significantly different to the control group. The increase in thymus size in the group restricting calories was accompanied by an increase of indicators of new T cell production. Interesting. Next, the team analyzed the immune system effects in belly fat samples from people in the calorie study. The team discovered that PLA2G7 gene, which codes for the protein involved in fat metabolism that is made by immune cells such as T cells, was suppressed after calorie restriction. The evidence that suppression occurred in immune cells present in fat. They hypothesized that PLA2G7 gene could have played a role in the improved thymus function resulting from calorie restriction. In the test, to test this hypothesis, the team suppressed the PLA2 gene in a lab mice. These mice were 2 years old, which is the equivalent age of 70. Okay, I didn't know that for conversion. The thymus had not decreased in volume. In addition, the mice had decreased fat mass and the lower levels of certain inflammation-promoting substances. The findings suggest that mice without the gene, P gene, might have been protected from age-related chronic inflammation, which has been linked to many conditions of old age. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So the long-term effects of calorie restriction or adequate amounts of calories and not binging all the time, enough for your body and your exercise levels, results in less chronic inflammation, resulting in a higher quality of life towards the end. Very, very fascinating. Taken together, the findings extend our understanding of the power of calorie restriction and suggests that it might also improve immune function and reduce chronic inflammation in people. The result also indicates interventions that influence PLA2G7 gene function might have favorable health effects. Additional research is still needed to assess the health effects and to determine whether calorie restriction extends lifespan or health span in humans. The NIA is funding more studies and blah, 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 all that fun stuff. Yeah, obviously, because it would take 70 years, the studies that may or may not be going on right now, or going to take a minute in order for anybody to really have any sort of comprehensive data on. But again, while lab rats aren't exactly a one-to-one comparison with the human beings, they're normally fairly accurate. Like the one glaring omission is obviously LD50 when it comes to caffeine. It's like you can pretty much get away with as much caffeine as humanly possible, whereas rats, there's a finite amount. But outside of that, a lot of tests have been successful on rats when it comes to health studies for humans, and if there's any indication that this is going to be correlative to human health, that's a big thing. So eating appropriate amounts of food does not just have the added short-term benefits of a slimmer waistline, it could also keep you healthy later in life as well. Seems like a good reason why you should probably start that diet here if you've been thinking about it, mulling it over for a minute. But with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. Once you follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.